Good afternoon. This is Brian Johnson, and I first off thank you and am enthusiastic about you joining me here to invest in yourself because you're not investing in me, you are investing through me to yourself. And I'm not sure how long you may have been involved in mine and Chris's information or our message and all the fun stuff that we talk about. But no matter where you're at on your journey, we love you and we support you. And there is nothing more that I would rather be doing than doing what I'm about to do right now here with you, sharing all the awesome stuff that God has blessed me with, learning over 30 years I have invested. You may say, some body language. You may say, wow, Brian, you can be more than 30 years old. You're right. I'm 37 years young. And I started doing this when I was 7 years old. So this is what I've done my entire life. So this is it for me. Like, this is it. Like, this is my most prized, my most favorite thing to share and do. And I am so graced and grateful to just to be doing it with you. So without further ado, we are going to hop into some slides. And in case you don't know, you may have read some of the advertisements and stuff that I put out to promote my event and mine and Chris's event. And today is all about your ant and your elephant. Your ant is your conscious mind, your thinker, and your elephant is your subconscious mind, your feeling world. So let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to pull up some slides. And this is where it always gets interesting, so hang tight. So hopefully the slides are up and let's get started. So what I invite you to do is turn off your cell phones, close Facebook, go where it's quiet, get some water. And if I should have shown you this beforehand, but I actually have some green juice and I have some water. So take notes, or rather I invite you to take notes, because there may be some information that you may find extremely helpful and beneficial. And that, when I say helpful and beneficial, I'm talking about stuff you can do right now, which is, you'll find that Chris and I are huge into the now, because honestly, that is the only time that you have. So if you are investing, or I say spending, which means you're not getting much out of your money invested, if you are spending time living in the future, which does not exist, and you are spending time living in the past, you are wasting the current moment of now, which is truly the only time that exists. And we'll get more into that. So I invite you to open your mind to what I'm about to share with you. Take all of the beliefs that have been passed down to you from mom and dad and media and everything that you have learned. And I'm not asking you to get rid of it. I'm asking you to just take all of it, put it on a shelf, and open some room for some potential opportunities of information and wisdom that I'm going to share with you that could potentially change your life. I invite you to get a sip, because that's what I'm about to do. If you wonder why it goes quiet for a moment, it's important that my thinker is working appropriately. So green juices and water is stuff that I drink a lot, and invite you to do the same. So here we go. Have you heard of the term self-directed neuroplasticity? Well, if you haven't, don't feel bad. I am familiar with the term, and we will definitely get into this term a little bit more specifically a little bit later. My next term for you is this one. Have you ever heard of the term called iatrogenesis? Well, on this one, this is a little different story. Like I said, I've been involved in this field of wellness, as you say, for 30 years. I just heard the term iatrogenesis 2 years ago. I was taking my coursework at Institute of Integrative Nutrition. Chris and I both, and they threw this term iatrogenesis out. And honestly, it blew my mind. And it's not surprising. Nothing surprises me nowadays. And I'm amazed that this is what it's called. And you're probably wondering, well, go ahead, get to the point. Well, what is it? Well, we're going to get to that. As for the next part, here's what I invite you to do. First off, I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, tell you a little bit about my man, Mr. Christopher Francis Bamberg, and I'm going to take you on a little journey. So I invite you to get your seat comfortable, get your sip of water, get your notes, get whatever you require to be successful, and make sure that you take this time and completely devote your attention to it. It's only an hour or less, and this information could very well change your life, and I'm extremely passionate about sharing it with you. So first off, let me just tell you a little bit about myself and Chris, and I have a whole collage of awesome events, and I'm going to go ahead and take a sip. So let's just start on the top left. Well, the top left, the man on the right-hand side, Mr. Jeff Primack, that is my disease reversal, symptom-specific coach, all through grocery store foods and holistic nutrition. And that's my man Kai on the left-hand side. The next picture over where it says Superstar Speaker Training, that is one of my current coaches, Mr. Ted McGrath. That next picture over in that audience, that is at Aveda. I get invited to go speak at Aveda a couple of times a year for the student body and talk about some cool stuff, so it's always fun. And then on the top right-hand side, I do not know who in the world that guy is with the beard, but holy cow, he should do something with himself. Well, he did. And that's me on the right-hand side. And that's also me with the beard. And where I was at in my life was one of the worst and best times ever. I was at my lowest point in my life, and I was able to completely turn it around with all of the tricks and tools that I'm going to share with you tonight. So if you go down to the middle page and it says presentation power, that is my man, my client, Mr. Jonathan Sprinkles, the connection coach. He's an international speaker. The guy is amazing. If you ever get an opportunity to listen to him speak, the guy is unbelievable. Every time I go watch his presentation power, I've been 3 times now. I get to go and help him with his food and help the staff and get them all situated so they're functioning at their highest potential. I leave there with 20 or so pages of notes every time. The guy is unbelievable. He's truly blessed, and I'm honored to be able to support him on the level that I am. That picture in the middle is me and Miss Jamie Tardy. She wrote the book, The Eventual Millionaire. If you ever get an opportunity, check her out. She is awesome. That is actually us on our way to traffic and conversion. I travel sometimes with my client. I was actually meeting 3 clients down there at that specific event. So what I do is I travel to my clients' houses a lot of times, and I help to structure all of their food. I help to get all of their mindset stuff straight. I help to get all their goals situated so that when I go back home, everything is set up, and I support them completely remotely via text message daily, online trainings, all of that fun stuff. And yes, we are drinking green smoothies, and thank God we were in LA and they actually have a raw smoothie place. And here's what I invite you to do. I actually had Vega protein in my bag so they could put protein in our shakes, so we were getting what we required, and that is important. That is, you probably heard me talk about working right versus working hard. Well, there is a specific example. I had already invested $8 in that shake, and it would have been pointless if I would not have gotten the proteins and carbs that I needed to support my body for the mission that I am on and the physique that I like to keep on a daily basis. That next picture over to the right is me and Mr. Francis Bamberg out in LA at a mastermind. Every time we go to LA or California, we're always on the beach. And I'll be honest with you, it's amazing. Every time I'm there, I'm like, I've got to move out here. Where I draw the line at is when the earth starts shaking, though. That's enough for me. I said, you know what? I enjoy Austin. It's amazing. So if you're in California, God bless you. I love it out there. The weather's amazing. It's just like a bigger version of Austin with much nicer weather, although today's pretty nice, even though we got froze out, whatever that means. So if you look on the very bottom, that is literally out in the middle of the jungle in Cancun, Mexico, where I was at the beginning of this year doing some personal development stuff off in the sticks. No internet, no TV, no nothing, just me, 8 other people, and my 2 coaches. And we were going through mindset stuff and digging through all the digging the bones out of the closet, as you would say, to level up in all areas of life. And this is what I love supporting my clients with on their journey as well. So a lot of good information and great wisdom coming from all over the place. And I didn't have enough room to fit everybody in there, but I figured put some ones on there that I thought you may be able to resonate with, so you can kind of understand where I'm coming from. And I'll be honest with you, I am completely humbled and honored and blessed to serve on the level that God has allowed me to do so. Half the time I say stuff, I'm like, man, where did that come from? So I just kind of get out of my own way and let God do what he does through me. And that's just kind of how things come out. So it's time for a drink if you wonder why I'm going void for a moment. And I'm completely drinking a wheatgrass smoothie with some lime in it, with some celery, some cucumbers, some ginger, and turmeric. And I go back and forth between juices and blending. Today I'm doing juicing. So I desire to share some stuff with you on our current state. This may open your eyelids just for a moment. So take a deep breath, sit in your chair, breathe through your stomach. Here are the 4 leading causes of death according to the Center of Disease Control in 2010. You wonder why I said 2010? Maybe. That's because that is the last updated version that is available to you. And I find that rather interesting. You may do the same. And it's very important that I share this with you. This is a disclaimer. I am not a doctor. Anything I say, do, or that I invite you to try, I encourage you to reach out to your doctor to get his or her advice, and then you choose what works best for you. Because ultimately, every time you walk by a mirror and you see that awesome man or woman or young lady or young man or whatever that looks like, you look at them and you say, I love you. And you are the one that's responsible for your health and no one else. And the sooner you do that, the sooner you can step into a mind, body, and spirit that is thriving. And until you do that, don't expect it to change. So here we go. Drink real quick. Heart disease is the #1 killer in the U.S. Almost 600,000. Well, you can bet your ass it's over 600,000 because that was 5 years ago. And trust me, nothing has gotten better as far as the availabilities of food, the marketing, big pharma, all that garbage. So cancer, 567,628 5 years ago. Chronic lower respiratory diseases, 137,353 5 years ago. Stroke, cerebrovascular disease, which is where someone has a clot in their artery and blood and oxygen specifically can no longer get to the brain. Not a good idea. Anyways, 128,842, and of course, 2010. We have an estimated 350,000 deaths per year that's linked to overweight and obesity. Currently, over 1/3 of our population, and rapidly, and I will repeat that in capital letters, rapidly increasing by the day, by the second. Okay. Now, we have an estimated, I find this interesting, estimated 220 to 448,000. Well, I'm not no rocket scientist for sure. And I don't know about you, I'll speak for myself, but that's a pretty damn big difference in a gap. And guess what? That was in 2010. And here is the interesting part. You remember that word I spoke about called iatrogenesis? Well, here's where it comes into play. Iatrogenesis is the term that Western medicine uses to refer to medical errors that resort in death, meaning it's unnecessary. Whatever happens, medication issues, bad side effects, wrong surgery, sloppy handwriting, because that is one of those. Those results are preventable, and they result in death. That is a massive amount of people. And here's the issue. There is now laws, and I'm going to say that again, laws in place where they do not have to disclose this information to us. I find that rather irritating, and I find that to be really accurate with how I personally think our system is pretty corrupt. And I believe there's also some great people out there. and we're going to continue to support the great people and make a difference, because I'm not standing for that shit. I don't know about you, but I have completely dedicated my life to making a difference on the planet, and we're doing it. So I thank you for joining me, and I'm grateful to be a part of the team and have you aboard. So that is what iatrogenic deaths is. Now you know. Let's carry on. The good news is, that's right, let's repeat that. The good news is 90%, that's right, 90% of these deaths are preventable by better lifestyle choices. And this is why we do what we do. We specifically focus on air, water, food, and consciousness as the tools and information and wisdom that we share, specifically because these are the things that you would die without first. That's right. No sense in taking all these crazy pills and supplements when you're not focusing on, all right, what can I do to breathe more air? That's number one. And matter of fact, check-in time. Are you breathing through your chest or are you breathing through your stomach? If you are breathing through your chest, you are functioning in fight or flight, which is scarcity. Can't, got to, get to, need to, have to. All this has to be done by tomorrow. All of that. If you are functioning in fight or flight, that means you are not thriving. And guess what? It's simple to fix. So here we go. Ladies, put your right hand on your belly button now and put your left hand on top. And men, you put your left hand on your belly button and your right hand on top. We're going to do just a few moments of something. Okay. All I want you to do is, all I desire you to do is to breathe into your belly. Like, make it big. So breathe in. We'll do 3 breaths. Ready? One more. That is the first thing that you can do, no matter where you are at, to reduce your stress levels and anxiety. I already feel calm. I feel like my butt sat down in my seat a little bit more. I'm not as antsy because I get excited and I'm enthusiastic. And while I'm talking to you, my legs are going back and forth, which is all body language stuff. And it's important to understand that you are the one who's in control of your health. You don't have to wait till tomorrow. And it's not next week. Right now is the only time that you have. So focus on doing things now that will help you tomorrow. Awesome. So here's the big fat genetic lie that goes right along with all the other shit that we just talked about, called iatrogenic deaths. Through the medical system, we are taught that we are slaves to our genes. And I'm not talking about the ones that sit on your butt. I'm talking about the ones that float around that make us up as far as human beings. We are not slaves to our genes, contrary to popular belief. And I will give you some supporting information to perhaps open your eyes to what's available to you right now. The genetic lie. 75 to 85% of our genetic code is expressive and recessive by our control through our environment, in the means of our thought process and what we think about, what we feel, what we believe, our diet, stress, and our environment, which all of those we can control. That is exciting, because today, if anything, you should leave here feeling empowered that you can make a difference right where you're at, in so much of a way that you can create a massive ripple effect across the world because of what you're able to do for yourself first and then share with others. Just like when you're on an airplane, if you don't fly, here's what they do. They do this awesome little demonstration of how, if the plane goes down, you put your air piece on first and then you help someone else. And that is the exact same way you should do your health, because by more is caught than taught. Meaning, if someone sees your behaviors and sees things changing, they're going to catch that faster than you teaching them specifically, because you are leading by example. Okay? Now, here is that term again. Self-directed neuroplasticity is a fancy word for you can create whatever you desire to create by the thoughts and what you put your attention towards, in which we will get into a little bit more. So the placebo versus nocebo. There's a book called The Power of Belief. Actually, it's called The Biology of Belief by Bruce Lipton. And I'm going to give you a pretty crazy, awesome excerpt from the book. And if you haven't read it, you may desire to read it because it's going to give you a whole different understanding of what's available to you. You know, and also too, the placebo versus nocebo, how it applies to pharma, meaning big pharma, meaning medical communities, or more so the drug administration portion of it. That is a non-win situation. Well, let me take that back. I think it's important for me to express obviously how I feel, which I am, and I'm going to give you both sides. I am not against Western medicine. I truly believe they offer some amazing advancements on people breaking their arms and legs. And I know specifically for a fact, one of my good friends his daughter has had not one, two double lung transplants. So when I say that they do amazing things, hands down, I am beyond grateful at what they're capable of doing. If I were to ever get into a wreck, cancel clear, and my leg were to break, cancel clear, that's where I would ask you to take me. However, for most of the things that we experience symptomatically, it's because of what we're thinking first, and then it results into a symptom into our body, which is controllable and reversible. So I invite you to never, ever, 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 ever completely or say you have a diagnosis of XYZ. Don't ever do that, because immediately when you name a thing, it has power over you. Instead, I invite you to think along the lines of, oh, well, I have symptoms that represent this and this. Those are reversible. And we can get into a lot of stuff. We're not going to get into that specifically because that's definitely more in depth. And I massively desire to share it with you, because when you understand the things that have been passed down and what I've seen with working with over 15,000 people, life is going to be very different and very fast, depending upon how fast you like to move. Okay. I have seen amazing stories and have had personal experiences with amazing things happening with food. And I actually have a testimonial from one of my clients that you will hear shortly, specifically talking about this. And then, on number 5, it says placebos are forbidden in practice due to perceived deception, because specifically, if we think we've had a medicine, our brain can literally trigger our body into a healing response due to the placebo effect. So when I tell you that you have a extremely powerful machine sitting on your neck, I am not joking to you. Henry Ford says it best. You get what you think about most of the time, and either you think you can or you think you can't. You are right. So here's Bruce Lipton's The Biology of Belief. I'm going to read it for you, and you can also read along. The science of signal transduction focuses upon the biochemical pathways by which cells respond to environmental cues. Environmental signals exchange or engage cytoplasmic processes that can alter gene expression and thereby control cell fate, influence cell movement, control cell survival, or even sentence a cell to death, which is known as apoptosis or cell suicide. Signal transduction science recognizes that the fate and behavior of an organism is directly linked to its perception of the environment. In simple terms, the character of our life is based upon how we perceive it. And there you have it, folks. What you believe, you turn into. What you perceive is how your life turns. If you think your life sucks, it will suck. If you think your life is awesome, it will be awesome. That's how easy it is. Now, obviously, you get to go through and upgrade a bunch of experiences that have happened in our past, but that's just part of the process. Drink time. So here's self-directed neuroplasticity. Did you know that out of 100% of the pie, our conscious mind, which is our thinker or our brain or just our thinker, that's what I call it, or our ant, is only 0.006% of the 100% between our conscious and subconscious mind, or our ant and our elephant. Now, you've heard me talk about the ant and the elephant, and it's probably, if you haven't heard the story, now is a good time for me to share it. So check it out. The ant and the elephant are good friends, and they're off in the jungle. And the ant is on top of the elephant, and the ant represents our thinker, and the elephant represents our subconscious. So the ant and the elephant are great friends, and the ant has a little sugarcane stick, and him and the elephant are just cruising through the forest, and the ant's like, hey, let's go to the right. And the elephant's like, okay, I like to go to the right too. So they're off on their little journey, telling jokes, stopping and eating lunch, just really enjoying the whole process. Well, they decide to get going again, and the elephant's like, I think we should take a left here. And their ant's like, no, I think we should go straight. Well, as you can tell, we have a conflict of interest. And my next question to you is, who do you think is going to win this conflict? If you said the ant, incorrect. If you said the elephant, you are a winner. Our subconscious is so powerful. It will massively overpower our conscious mind or our ant. Meaning, if you have stories of I'm not good enough, I suck, I hate myself, I hate my dad, I have anger towards my mom, I have anger towards my former or my ex-husband, or I have unforgiveness towards someone in my life, well, guess what? All of those are functioning on your subconscious mind like a record. So what happens is you start attracting like situations, people, events, and circumstances that match those feelings. I can tell you this because I operated on I don't love myself for 12 years unknowingly. I thought I had dealt with it because I had moved through the experience consciously. Subconsciously was not so much. Literally, I was in class with my coach, Bob, and I was scratching my left bicep really hard. And those of you who know me know I like to dabble in body language a lot. But at this specific time, I was not very versed in it yet. Well, at the break of class, I walk up to Bob and I was like, hey, Bob, I've really been scratching my bicep really hard. I mean, I'm talking like 4 or 5 words out of my mouth. You're never going to guess what he asked me next. He goes, how long have you had a death wish? I was like, holy shit, really? Wow, 12 years. So what happened is I had went through a really serious situation that I didn't handle very well mentally because I didn't know how to deal and express and filter the emotions that came up. So I basically went on a wild goose chase, started doing all kinds of crazy stuff, making stupid decisions unknowingly. And basically, anytime I would start getting happy or doing great with my job, my career, whatever I was doing, I would start having thoughts of sabotage coming from nowhere. And I'm like, man, where are these coming from? Why are these coming up? Well, what happened was subconsciously, happiness equaled pain. Love equaled pain, because that's what I equated it to. And I had never resurrected that pattern or the experience that originally created that feeling. So at that time, my coach helped to renegotiate me back into my experience. He did this by body language and listening to my word choice. You can listen to where people are functioning at subconsciously by their word choice. Yes, that is crazy. It is the most profound stuff I have ever learned over having 70,000 hours of educational hours, over 20 some odd certifications from National Academy of Sports Medicine, through Baylor Sports Medicine, through Institute of Integrative Nutrition, through working with people with prosthetic limbs and knees, to being able to support people with cancer and Parkinson's and AIDS. I have never in my life ever seen anything more powerful than body language and conscious language, which is what we like to teach. So the ant and the elephant is a big deal. And in your own life, if you say, hey, you know what? That kind of sounds like some stuff that's going on in my life. First off, don't judge it and be grateful, because that is an experience that you get to resurrect. Let the weak man or woman say, I am strong, and your greatest weakness shall be your greatest strength. All those thoughts that come up, they're just coming up for you to resurrect them or to transmute them into, I love myself and I give myself permission to forgive myself. I give myself permission to forgive my dad and my mom, and I give myself permission to move forward. And if you ever listen to anything I'm sharing with you, and I'm beating my hands on the table because this is, I love you. And if you just get this, if you are holding on to old baggages and shit that's in the past, guess what? It's in the past. And if you don't give yourself permission to move forward with it now, and give yourself permission to forgive yourself, and give yourself permission to forgive your mom, your dad, your former, whatever comes up, and anything that is less than I am enthusiastic about my life, that means it's upgradable. And anytime you can identify an emotion, for example, you have 7 specifically: enthusiasm, pain, anger, fear, grief, apathy, and unconsciousness. And anytime you can identify where you're at on that scale, there is a positive emotion on the other side of it. And that's what you can resurrect or transmute that pattern into. For example, unconsciousness turns into consciousness, anger turns into forgiveness, grief turns into joy. Yeah, that's extremely important, because when you understand that you have something that keeps coming up, you don't have to just deal with it. Okay? The whole part of self-directed neuroplasticity is all about creating new neural pathways, creating new ideas, having new thoughts, having new wisdom, having people and coaches to support you in your upgrade process, and destroying old pathways and giving yourself permission to let them go, and giving yourself permission to move forward. And your body language, like right now, I'm scratching. Your body language will tell the whole story. Over 85% of our communication is done non-verbally. If we all told the truth, body language would be unnecessary. When I'm working with people, if someone's talking to me, they may make 1 or 2 scratches on their face, and I know they're functioning in anger with dad that fast. I have 2 different coaches. One of them is actually a CIA interrogation and a sniper guy, and I have I love them to death because of what I'm able to understand about people and where they're functioning at, and their belief patterns and belief systems allows me to support them exactly where they're at and know what's coming up for them or what it gets to turn into. Truly honored and just humbled to be able to do that. So now we're talking about science or spirituality. There's always that, oh, science and spirituality, it's all woo-woo. Well, that's a bunch of shit. And here's the reason why. We're now at a time and space, specifically in this day and age, where these two are merging. Science is proving spirituality, and spirituality is proving science. So we are at a very interesting time. We are standing on the shoulders of many amazing people. I invite you to get a drink. So it's not one or the other, it's both. The more we understand science, the greater we understand our spiritual nature. And just so you know, in my opinion, you can take it or leave it, and I love you either way. We are spiritual beings or creatures having a human experience. The only thing that is flawed is our brain and our bodies. Outside of that, we are perfect. That's how we were created. Whatever you believe, whether you believe in God, I believe in God, whether you believe in trees or universe, I love you and I support you. Just do the translation. And anytime that you don't love yourself, you are out of integrity with who you are as a spirit being, which means everything in your life, your relationships, your business, your body, your ability to connect with other people, everything in your life, you look around at it, and if it's not something you are just blessed and say, Thank you, God, or thank you, universe, or thank you, red sparrows, whatever. Thank you for what's going on in my life. I am so appreciative. Then you have a lot of stuff that's available to you. And it starts by us helping you to get aligned with who you truly am. Okay? Verbal language and body language, stress, fear, anxiety all show up in our physical body in the form of symptoms or pains and ailments. So this is where I spoke specifically earlier about, hey, if you have been diagnosed with something, I invite you to ditch that and to get on the bandwagon of, hey, these are my symptoms. Your symptoms will show up in the areas of your body where you have emotional healing that is available to you. Specific areas of the body will show up depending upon what you're holding on to. Unforgiveness is the kneecaps and the kidneys. Right side dad, left side mom. If you have thyroid issues and you're on thyroid medications, I invite you to dive in to see if you have anger issues. If you have liver issues, I invite you to think about if you have resentment going on in your life. If you do, it's very easily fixed. It doesn't require a medication or any kind of just massive doctor bill. It just requires working and being supported and being accountable to someone who understands the body language piece and how to help you resurrect the pattern. It's so simple. People are like, did this really just happen? Yes, this really just happened. And it happens all the time. So here's what I'm inviting you to do today, right now. We are starting a 4-week series in which you've got a brief glimpse of what we're going to talk about. And specifically, we're going to talk about breaking limiting belief systems. We're going to talk about goals and priorities. We're going to talk about making time, because if you don't make time for your wellness, you will make time for your illness. And if you followed me and Chris, you know that that's what we talk about. We'll also talk about the power of affirmations and conscious word choice. We'll also talk about changing your language. And what I'd like to do right now is we're going to do a little fun part. So here's what you're going to do. I'm going to say a phrase out loud and you're going to repeat it 3 times. And here's what you're going to do. Sit on the edge of your chair. Take 3 seconds and pay attention to what you feel like. Where are you breathing from? Are you breathing from your chest? Are you breathing from your stomach? Are your shoulders tight? Are you relaxed? What's going on? Okay. Now, when we say this, pay attention to your volume in your voice. Pay attention to itches and scratches on your body. Pay attention to your legs or your feet scooting forward. All of this. And don't judge it. This is your body communicating to you, and this is what's available to you. How much of a difference do you think it would make in your life if you understood that you were in line when you made a decision moving forward in your life? How much of a difference would it make if you understood that, hey, my body subconsciously is not in agreement with what my conscious mind is saying? That is good stuff. If I would have known that, do you realize how much pain this would have kept me from getting myself into? A ton. So here we go. Ready? Say this out loud. Say, I want. 3 times. I want. I want. Now, pay attention to what you feel like. I automatically have a knot in my stomach. Now, say this. I choose. I choose. I choose. Here's what I notice. Without me intentionally speaking louder, my volume lifted, my left foot scooted forward a little bit, and my stomach completely relaxed. All of this meaning subconscious body language is the volume of my voice changing, which means that I am empowered. My left foot wiggling around, moving, means that I am receiving what I'm talking about and understanding how to move forward. And my stomach completely relaxes, which means my joy is returning versus my grief. When I say I want, I am consciously or subconsciously agreeing with not having. Now, here is a law I'm going to share with you. This is a scriptural law. It's a biblical law, not a religious law. It says specifically, the Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. When I say I want this and I want that, well, I'm automatically agreeing with not having it. How important do you think it would be to understand that, oh, wow, I have some upgrades and words that I can use to change the results in my life? Is it that easy? Yes. Think about this. What controls a massive ship, like a huge aircraft carrier? What controls it? This little bitty rudder in the back of it. That's it. Think about this. Your mouth is that rudder that can control your ship. Your language choice creates and shapes thoughts, which create actions, which create results. If your results suck, your language probably follows along right along with it, and it is all upgradable if you choose to do the work. Like our little nice little ostrich there, he's all about it. Check him out. I love that guy. So here we go. Here are 12 symptoms of a spiritual awakening. I invite you to take account, see where you fall in, see if you resonate with any of these or all of these. And no matter where you're at on your journey, it's okay. It's just where you are. This is where we're at, and there are many things to come if you choose to move forward. Here we go. Number one, an increased tendency to let things happen rather than make them happen. When you feel a ton of resistance, don't sit there and keep going. Step back and say, oh, wow, I noticed that I'm getting a lot of resistance about doing this. Maybe I should pay attention to what's going on. Is this the best thing for me right now? Or am I pushing too much to something that I should sit back and kind of watch some things unfold? There is a massive difference. You may have heard me talk about this, and this is on our Facebook page. You have two energies in life. You have the energy of the egg when we're being born, which is just to be. And then you have the energy of the sperm, which is a doer. It's very important, just like you're out surfing. I went surfing, and this is exactly where we learned this, because the ocean is massive. I don't give a shit how big you are. That ocean will blow you right over. And it's like an ant, okay? No pun intended. So if you are trying to be the sperm energy and you're swimming out in the ocean, go, 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 and that wave hits you, guess what? You're not going to be going very far. And if you resist rolling around in that wave and it keeps carrying you out and you're fighting it, you are better off turning into the egg, energetically speaking, meaning just allow it to do what it needs to do and then just pull yourself to the top. It's very important, just like life, how to recognize that energy and what you're doing and what results you're getting. And when you're not getting the results, don't keep doing the same thing. That's what they call the definition of insanity. Okay. Now also notice when you're walking in your power, you may have frequent attacks of smiling. I do this often. And you know what's even cooler than this? You can be so pissed off and do a fake smile for 2 minutes and your physiology will change, meaning you will start to get happy, specifically because of the body language and the position that you're holding. How crazy is that? And I'm scratching the palm of my hand on my left hand, which is I'm receiving what I'm handling. Crazy. So you will have feelings of being connected with others in nature, frequent overwhelming episodes of appreciation, a tendency to think and act spontaneously rather than from fears based on past experiences, an unmistakable ability to enjoy each moment, a loss of ability to worry, a loss of interest in conflict, a loss of interest in interpreting the actions of others, a loss of interest in judging others. And if you find yourself judging others, I have something perhaps very exciting for you and also very slap in the face-ish. If you find yourself judging others, that's what you have. What you very well are judging someone else for is what you have. So this is a very empowering statement and an empowering opportunity for you. When you notice yourself being triggered, immediately go internally and say, oh, wow, I notice I'm being triggered by this person. What do I have that's coming up for me that I'm judging someone else? Because whatever you judge, you take on. I invite you to vote other people's victory, which is the exact opposite of judgment. You also will have a loss of interest in judging yourself and just completely loving yourself just like you are right where you're at, not changing anything. This is the secret to moving forward. And if you're desiring to move forward, you must completely, fully own and accept exactly where you're at with no judgment. You will also gain the ability to love without expecting anything. So here's where we're at. I'm gonna let you listen to this awesome testimonial. This brings tears to my eyes. I really, honestly, have had so many of these. I'm like, is this really happening? Well, it is. So I want to let you check it out.
Hi, my name is Violet. I choose to take a few minutes and talk to you about my experience with reaching out to Brian. About 6 months ago, I contacted Brian. I just had some questions about nutrition, different things I could change up just to start feeling better. And we also talked about different medications I was on at the time. He mentioned foods that specifically could do the same thing as what the medications were doing, except naturally. And so along with that, and the other list of things that he said, to try, I started doing that immediately. And after about a month, I I started to wean myself off of one of my medications. And then after I got off that one, I started weaning myself off another medication. And after 3 months, I had gotten off of 5 medications. Some of these medications I was on for 30 years, some I was on for 15 years, and some I was on for 10 years. And so these were things that I thought I was going to have to take for the rest of my life. Before that conversation with Brian, I didn't even realize that there was another option. And it's been 6 months since I talked to him about these specific things, um, and 3 months of being completely off medicine, and I really am so happy and thankful and grateful for Brian and for the work that he does, and just the love that he has for people, and showing them that they have other options, that they can feel good just with the right information. And I just feel really blessed to have that opportunity to talk to him about those things going on in my health and my diet, and that he's so knowledgeable and just really helpful, and offers you this opportunity to change your life. And that's at least the way I look at it, because I look at this more than just oh, I'm off medication. To me, it's a miraculous act. To be able to say I'm free from all of this, and it's also given me such a sense of empowerment too, to know that doctors couldn't do this. You know, Foods from the grocery store did this, so it's kind of wild, but definitely grateful for it. Thank you.
So yeah, that's pretty crazy, man. I have so many of these that I've been blessed with people in my life that I've been able to share the information I'm sharing with you, and watching this kind of stuff happen. It's almost to the point where it's just expected now, humbly, because of what's available. So here's what we are offering to you today. We are having a 4-week course all on mindset training, which we would typically charge $497 for. Today, here's what we're offering it for, which is a big whopping $197. And here's what you'll get: 4 live webinars, 1 hour each, about, unless we get excited, we'll talk more. All about changing your mindset. Access to the recordings if you missed the live session. Bonuses that you will receive is all of our recipe books. You'll get 2 months access to our closed membership site. You get a 30-minute consultation with myself or Mr. Francis Vanberg. And you also get 2 Jedi Secrets videos, which are videos that I've done on my previous training. Now, basically, this offer ends in about a couple hours. And here's what you got. Here are the benefits. You're going to learn how to master the basics. Together, we've worked with over 13,000, more than that, people. Last year alone, we've invested over 100 grand in coaches. And I don't say that as a pat on the back. I say that because my ability to support people in my life is my primary concern and my number one investment, just like you are your number one investment. You should invest in yourself. You deserve to invest in yourself so you can have all that you're here for on the planet. We're only here for a small amount of time. And if you aren't maximizing your life and you're just dealing with shit, I invite you to level up and step into your life and take control of it and make some choices and make some changes so you can have all that you want or all that you desire. How's that? Claim it. Now, we'll learn how to craft perfect custom programs. That was on our last one, but we'll talk about that too. Understand how to reverse symptoms and disease by understanding your mindset and how to recognize patterns of self-sabotage. My friend Violet that you just heard from, if she wouldn't have been open-minded to what I was telling her, all that wisdom in the world wouldn't have been worth a hill of beans. And that very information is what resurrected and broke her free from the pain and prison that she was living in for over 30 years. She thought she was going to be under the doctor's thumb for 30 years, and her doctors were baffled as she was coming off of her medications. And they have no, I mean, so you understand, statistically speaking, Western medicine physicians have 6% of graduating physicians have less than 3% of nutritional hours and credits. That's no more than knowing what a protein and a carbohydrate is, which is not much. Okay. You all have all of this information with the support of a group that have the same goal, which is get healthier. And today I invite you to have more joy and peace in your life, creating greater health for both you and your family, wearing the clothes that you choose to versus what you have to, with a renewed confidence in yourself and your abilities. Now, we are going to come over here, and here we are. So I have one last thing for you. It's special, and you can enroll in the program that I just mentioned with all this stuff for $144. That's my special gift. I invite you to think seriously about where you're at in your life. And if you don't make any changes in your life right now, where are you going to be a year from now? Where are you going to be 5 years from now? You're going to be alive? Are you going to have the things that you desire, the relationships that you crave? Are you going to have the void felt that's in your heart right now that may be completely empty and you're not understanding what to do? Well, there's stuff that's available to you, and we can support you with this. I invite you to take this opportunity to invest in yourself. If you won't invest $144 in yourself, you got bigger problems than this. That's nothing. You can waste that in 3 meals going out to eat. So I invite you to take that money, invest it in yourself so we can support you, help you to create the life and the mindset that's going to get you there. And hopefully you enjoyed this information as much as I did, because I got excited. My voice almost going out. I got so excited about it. So that's all I have for you. Register below. Let me know if you do. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me on Facebook and let me know how I can support you. And I will be honored to do so. And you know the drill by now. If you don't make time for your wellness, you will make time for your illness. Have an awesome night, and I will see you on the other side. Good night.